I'm starting to think you enjoy getting kidnapped. This time, you're flung into Feudal Japan, a rather violent era in Japanese history spanning across several hundreds of years. But this year is 1467, the start of the hostile and chaotic Sengoku period. You've really got your work cut out for you with this one. Time to put your survival skills to use, if you have any. So, do you think you're up for the task? Let's find out. Welcome to Sengoku Jidai, also known as the Warring Clans period, a dangerous time in medieval Japan's already chaotic history. See what I mean? The Sengoku period was actually a subsection of the overarching Muromachi period, but that's not too important. All you need to know is that the government is falling apart. Basically, there's this guy, the shogun. He's the ruler of Japan because he's a big, strong military man. But wait, I hear you say, I thought Japan had an emperor. And you're right, there is an emperor, and he technically rules Japan, but in reality, he's just a political figurehead that sits in the hotel cuck chair the whole time while the shogun does all the hard work to satisfy the country's freaky desires. So what the heck is causing all the ruckus? Well, the current shogun is in a bit of a pickle. All he wants to do is quit his job and retire so he can write poetry, paint, and strategically plant a few trees. Problem is, he has no son to take the reins, but he does have a war-hating monk brother. Beggars can't be choosers. Problem solved. Uh-oh, looks like the shogun's wife Amazon primed a baby overnight. How embarrassing. Since there was a strict policy of no takesy-backsies, the shogun's brother remains the rightful heir. Wait just one gosh darn fucking second, says Mrs. Shogun. I shot this baby out of my coot chute, so he's gonna be the heir. And thus, a power struggle began. I just want to paint. All of this instability within the shogunate caused the country to be split in two, Team Brother and Team Baby. Powerful clans waged war against each other in an attempt to get their side into power. This political shitshow inevitably led to an uncivil civil war, the Ronin War. So the government's in complete shambles and anarchists rejoice. But then they have to realize that they actually have to live in an anarchy. So there's your background. Did you get all that? Glad to hear. Anyway, here you are, just outside of Kyoto, the capital city of Japan at the time, and it's just blazing with culture. And fire. Looks like the warring clans are getting a little carried away at the moment. That being the case, you're forced to roam the countryside in search of a place to anchor your roots and figure out a way back home. But you quickly learn that danger is all around you. It was fairly common for thieves or bandits to cross your path and try to yoink all your valuables, and then stab you. Speaking of the devil, here's one now, so prepare yourself. Sate sate, betsu no seizon sha. Nani? Oraka no koto shinai de kudasai. Jibun takete to omou. Majo mo watashi o tsukamaeta. Nan kangetsu mo mai. Sore erai zutto ikkinukote imasu. Soshite watashi wa tsuzukemasu. Yoshi. Sono ha, moshikashite 万助ほどつまり広告の中にいるのです関係ない死の準備を下着雲の不可能シスター行く彼は愛を切り借りた精密なドリマーは滑らかな仕上がりを実現するフォイルブレードこれはスキンのセフテクノロジーですが、私さえもくそマンスケボだ。Well, that was a close shave. With the thief inexplicably but conveniently passed out due to being well groomed, you quickly loot him to blend in with the rest of society. Speaking of which, would you believe that feudal Japan did not operate as a hierarchy? Well, you shouldn't, because it did. So let's get out that ladder and descend through the ranks, shall we? At the tippity top was the emperor. He was the guy in charge, but not really. He had a cool shirt and that's about it. Then there's the shogun. He was actually in charge, with the power of commanding the military and controlling national policies and laws. And to be fair, he had a cooler shirt than the emperor. Directly reporting to the shogun were the daimyo, feudal lords and clan leaders that commanded various provinces around the country. They're proud of their land, but they want more. Samurai were loyal warriors with neat swords that honorably served powerful nobles like the daimyo. They were the epitome of courage and honor, and their culture is thriving to this day. Ronin were samurai without their masters, but they could still be bachelors. Ashigaru were samurai interns and general cannon fodder. Basically, they were peasants who were given swords and told to stab other people while still earning a minimum wage. Ah, peasants. The dirt poor majority of the population that did all the work to keep everyone alive. Nowadays, they're referred to as the middle class. Artisans were the ones who made your furniture, your clothes, and your tools. That's cool, but you can't eat a chair, can you? Can you?
And which piece would you like to start with first, sir?
Oh, just the leg. Merchants were scumbag salesmen that just profited off of everyone else's work and were deemed parasites because of it. Buy high, sell low. At the very bottom, to no surprise, were the outcasts. Criminals and beggars for the most part, but also those who had undesirable jobs like butchers, undertakers, actors, entertainers, and reaction channels. Now, you have to understand that this is a very simplified structure of how feudal Japan's class system was laid out. It was a much more complicated web of relationships and rankings that is, quite frankly, above my pay grade as an outcast entertainer. So that begs the question, where would you fit in society? In reality, unless you were Chinese, Japanese, or look at these, you wouldn't have. You'd either be a social outcast or straight up sold into slavery without question. Even if you didn't end up being someone's perpetually untipped servant, you'd still end up being a peasant in some form, whether it's harvesting up rice or hauling in the fish. It was backbreaking work. From dawn until dusk, you did what you had to do to keep yourself and the country fed. After a long, exhausting day, you would get home to your cold, drafty, and very flammable home. Despite being the literal provider of the food for the country, your crops are owned by the shogunate, so you barely even have scraps to eat. Malnourishment was very common amongst the lower class, and while it often resulted in an early grave, you could also inspire a few musicians. If the starvation didn't get you, the diseases certainly would. Smallpox, measles, and chickenpox were known as the 3 great diseases. 3 great opportunities to end up 6 feet under. It's like 2 feet for each disease. But you don't have to deal with any of that. Okay, well, maybe still the disease if you're unlucky, but thanks to your recent battle, you're equipped to pass yourself off as a lowly Ashigaru, a foot soldier commanded by a samurai. Since they need as much help as they can get, they won't be asking any questions. If you can hold a sword and swing it at a bad guy, that's good enough. In an event completely convenient to the plot, a samurai wanders up and recruits you to be in his army. In Japanese, of course. Thankfully, you are able to read his subtitles and accept the position. Congrats, you're now a full-fledged member of the Hosokawa clan, one of many clans spread across the country. While the Hosokawa and Yamana clans fought for the control of the capital, other clans fought to expand their own territories. And there were a bunch of them, like the Shiba clan, the Oda clan, and of course, Zelda fanboys. So let's see what your new job entails. You're now a soldier, which means you need to start learning some discipline. You wake up at the ass crack of dawn to start your day. Wake up! Eat a healthy breakfast of rice and veggies, and always practice good hygiene. Manscaped. You spend the morning strengthening your military skills and are partnered up with Hoshi. He's a nice guy. He was a farmer, but decided that maiming and pillaging could prove more lucrative. Together, you train martial arts, archery, and swordplay all throughout the morning as a way to keep both your body and mind sharp as a tack. Whew, all that training made the time fly by. It's already noon. So after a quick lunch of rice and veggies, time to fortify the walls of the camp to make sure no bad guys get in. Build it huge. Looks like your samurai has a task for you. You've been assigned to gather intelligence from the enemy. We are in the middle of the Onin War after all, and that gosh dang Yamana clan is burning Kyoto down faster than we are. Can't let that happen. No problem, Master Sam, you say in Japanese subtitles. You wait until nightfall to carry out the mission. After a hearty dinner of rice and veggies, you infiltrate the enemy camp without causing too much suspicion. You quickly swipe the intelligence and giddily make haste back to base. With the intelligence in hand, your samurai congratulates you on a job well done. In Japanese, of course. You slowly open the letter and scan the text. Oh no. It can't be. This is...
Hi, we've been trying to reach you about your car's extended warranty.
Shit! You stole the clan leader's mail by accident. Wait, there's a note. You're not the best at reading Japanese text, but you think you can make out what the message means. Looks like your next mission starts at dawn. Oh yeah, it's wartime. You better get dressed, champ. You've got a country to die for. Unlucky for you, early Ashigaru were not well equipped for battle. Remember that they were dirt poor farmers. They couldn't afford ornate weapons, so they had to make do with what they had, which was farming equipment. Ever just want to shove a shovel into someone's throat just to see what would happen? And now you can. It kills them. One weapon of choice was the kama, a simple sickle-like weapon suited for slicing and stabbing some sneaky suckers. If you get the DLC, you can slap a chain on that bad boy, granting you a lethal radius of several feet and allowing you to open that pit up. Ashigaru that were well-trained or well-funded had access to better weapons and armor. Perhaps the most effective weapon that they could wield was the yari, a long spear that could be outfitted with all kinds of blades. Want to stab? Go for the omi yari. Want to slash? Try the katakama yari. If you want to support the boys from afar, get yourself a yumi, an asymmetrical longbow which was deadly on the battlefield with an effective range of over 400 feet. Archers were a core support group in any army. They would riddle the battlefield using a reliable method of spray and pray. It's just a shame that friendly fire was always on. If you wanted to spice things up, you could opt for fire or even explosive arrows. As for armor, it varied. The best Ashigaru were absolutely strapped with thick leather chest pieces, helmets, sleeves, and greaves. They were usually fitted with metal plates for added protection. Low-ranking Ashigaru were fitted with a cheaper, easier to produce armor called jack shit. Whatever clothing they had was their best bet. But it should be noted that the spoils of war were generous. Ashigaru were allowed to pillage and loot whoever they attacked. Slay an enemy with better weapons and armor? Looks like you found an upgrade. Now that you're all equipped, it's time to storm the battlefield with your best friend Samurai. What a cool guy. No. They got Sam. That's it. You charge into battle to avenge your fallen mentor. You spot an enemy, but it's a familiar face. Hoshi? You switched sides? Yeah, much better loot, says Hoshi, in Japanese of course. Just then, you notice fire spreading to a nearby building. Well, that's gonna suck, eh? Ugh, you again? 記憶なく、人のケアそれないでください。